Hello there, EnderSword here again, bringing you this time a Silver League game featuring our Protoss Jazmina and our Zerg Klotek. We are going to, for this game, do something a little different. I'm actually going to shut the vision so that we can only see what Jazmina is seeing, because the point of today's lesson will be based on observation abilities mostly. That's going to be our number one key point, is how to make sure that you're aware of the situation and that you're actually keeping your mind on what your opponent could be doing, as opposed to just focusing on what you plan on doing and ignoring what they do. So initially we have a bit of a, oops, I didn't quite put the pylon down at the right time. We're already slipping on production of probes. Only 8. Now we got the 9th out. This should be a lot tighter. That should be way, way better. There's nothing to distract you this early in the game, so there's really just no reason why those can't be coming out continuously. That pylon should be going down at perfectly the right time and everything like that. One thing for new players out there that don't realize this, because I do see even at like Diamond Plus level, people still do this just because they don't know. People can't spawn in this location. If you're above it, they can't spawn on the same side of the map as you. So they can't be directly below you or directly above you. They must be over in one of these two locations. I see a lot of people check here first, but on the ladder, this is not a valid spot. If you're here, can't be there. If you're here, they can't be there. So just an FYI on that. I see a lot of people make that mistake. So we get the scout come in. Obviously, this is where he is. That's great. Gateway going down. Seems like it's in a good position to start for that wall off sort of thing. We got the drone poking around here. This sort of thing. It's taken a couple laps around. When things like this are in your base, you should be keeping an eye on them. So that kind of wanders off, and then we see what information we got here. Okay, spawning pool's already done. That gas is going up. We didn't see an expansion coming in. Now, usually you would like to poke this back out, as opposed to having a drone just sitting there, or a probe just sitting there. That's supposed to be continuously scouting, so we're not getting any new information from that being there, but it could be killed at any moment the second that lings actually come out. So he takes a poke in again. I would have preferred to see going down here to either drop a pylon to delay, you certainly got enough money here, to drop a pylon to delay a potential expansion, or at least scout for whether or not an expansion ever goes down, because that will be important for this game. Seeing some normal stuff, a queen come out, spawning pool there. Doesn't really have an idea of how many drones are down there. Often drone counting is a pretty big part of the game. Back home, he's opted for a forge defense. I don't tend to like these, as I've discussed before. This can just be very passive. He hasn't even put down any cannons or anything yet, but this early pool indicates often early aggression, so I'm a little concerned that we haven't done something here. I don't usually like the cannon defense to it, unless you actually really expect roaches to come out. But either way, there should be something here, and this is just a little too passive. No cyber core has gone down yet, so there's no tech path. And if you remember from just the last video I did, actually, there's a difference between being defensive and being really passive. And if you're not teching behind being defensive, if you're not actually trying to hit some sort of timing, hit some sort of tech, really build your army up or gain an economic advantage behind it, then there's no reason to being defensive like this. You're just being passive. You're letting the Zerg do whatever they want to do. And as we see, there's just no military being brought in here. Probes are still pretty low for the amount. We got 14 to 20. And this is where we transition to the point of the game that your powers of observation come into play. Those of you who are keenly looking around the screen may already notice something a little wrong on the screen and a little wrong on the mini-map that apparently Jazmina does not realize is there, as he or she, maybe a she here, continues to tech up. During this, you may already see that there's a little something weird going on over here, which isn't exactly subtle. We get a lot of purple spread going on, and Jazmina does not appear to be alarmed at that. So that missing drone that we saw a little while ago was apparently up to something, and that's why you can't lose track of those scouts. You have to know whether something is in your base for two reasons. The first reason being that they could be doing something sneaky, like whatever this creep is going to turn out to be. And the second reason being that even if they're not doing anything, even if they're just hiding in a corner that you're not seeing, say there was a drone up here, at any point it'll just come down and get a free scout on everything. So if you were going to any sort of tech path, just having that in your base, we're just going to see everything that you're doing, and then they'll be able to counter it. Of course, we have this occur. Lings start to burst through. They immediately go to the mineral line. There's basically no reaction. The zealots don't even try and stop the lings, and instead find out that there's a second base, a hatchery right in his own base. The whole, yo, I heard you like bases, so I put a hatchery in there to just completely destroy you. That's basically this game, but it's just about keeping track of things. What are you supposed to notice? Right around, I believe it was 3 minutes-ish, this little drone, bye-bye. You have to notice that sort of thing. I know it seems like a very small deal, but you have to be thinking, especially since you've got the vision here, you know whether it left. You know that it came in, and you're going to know whether it left or not. You have to keep track of that. And then one of your priorities should be, hey, if it didn't leave my base, then one of my units has to go find and kill it. Very often, Protoss will they'll either go Zealot then Stalker, or Stalker first, or Zealot then a Sentry. But as soon as they get that ranged unit, they usually make it an absolute duty to go hunt down whatever scouting thing is still going on. Oftentimes you'll still have your opponent circling around your base, circling around your mineral line, being annoying with it, something like that. You can't, early in the game you can't do much about it. They can always get away from you. If you just get a zealot, well, you can't really chase it down or corner it yet, unless they make a mistake. But as soon as you get that first ranged unit out, you tend to want to get rid of it. And so that should always be on your mind when that unit comes out. Just mentally associate it with, do I have I cleared my base of anything? Have I cleared the scout out? Is there something still around? You should also be looking around your own base. You should tend to do a lap, particularly if you're playing something like Protoss. Do a lap around your base quickly. It's also good when you're putting these pylons down, just put them in places that can keep an eye out for things. Particularly in this case where you're cannoning off. Even if this drone hadn't come in, one big concern here would be they could have easily done the exact same thing with a Nidus Worm, as opposed to building a hatchery in the base. So whether it was a hatchery or whether it was a Nidus Worm, we don't have vision here. So an Overlord could simply come here, see this spot, and drop a Nidus Worm there, and it would be the exact same result. So it doesn't matter. And then on top of everything, just be aware. Don't get tunnel vision. I can almost guarantee this is what was happening. Nothing. Just looking at this location. If we keep an eye, he's only looking at what he's doing. This is now directly out of Jazmina's camera view. Should be able to see that over there right now. If any look at the mini-map would show that, any look at the actual screen would show that, but I'm sure he or she is absolutely tunnel visioned on what's going on. Again, that should have been first noticeable just about 6 minutes into the game, but the attack does not actually occur till 8-something in the game. So that's absolutely preventable, even with only the 2 or 3 zealots that were out at the time. That was actually seen at the point that it could have been stopped. By the time it does actually come, it's way too late. But at the time that it could have been detected, minutes, this entire thing could have been shut down by those zealots very, very easily. So that's just a quick lesson on situational awareness, being aware of what is around you, being aware that you have to stop that scouting, continue to do your own scouting, and you would have noticed that not as much development is happening here, so he's got to be doing something, and then responding accordingly. Also, again, just don't like these cannons. For 7 minutes and 30 seconds into the game, you've got 3 zealots. Come on. Whether he did anything tricky or not, he could have beat you with 10 roaches. It just doesn't matter. So if you just don't defend yourself, even if you don't get tricked like this, it just doesn't matter. This isn't an ample defense, and ultimately the Zerg ends up paying for that. GG's out. Just be aware of your surroundings. Thanks for watching.